Have you ever felt, even for a moment, that inside you there exists something older than your body, vaster than your thoughts, more real than time itself? What you are about to hear is not a story, but a memory that belongs to anyone who knows how to listen to silence. Today we will rekindle a forgotten knowledge, the language of light, of the heart, and of eternity. Now breathe, listen, and prepare to remember who you truly are. For ages untold, a secret lay buried beneath the desert sands, hidden not by chance but by fear, for it held a truth that the powerful sought to deny. Man was not created to grow old, but to reflect eternity. This knowledge, intended not for believers, but for those who perceive that humanity has lost its essence, reveals that the human body is a divine machine capable of regenerating itself, and that illness is not fate, but a vibratory dissonance, an alteration of the original frequency that governs life. The ancient Egyptians did not worship external deities, but the inner divine spark that permeates every being. They knew that matter is preserved only as long as it recalls its primordial note. Thoth, the scribe of the gods, was the guardian of this knowledge, a knowledge in which science and spirit unite: cardiac coherence, bioelectric fields, structured water, and cellular light, principles that modern science is only just beginning to glimpse, but which the wise men of Egypt had mastered for millennia. It is not a text of faith, but a code of awakening, a symbolic language designed to reactivate inner memory. Those who listen are not called to believe, but to remember. Since biology obeys consciousness, whoever awakens the original vibration within himself perceives an ancient echo awakening in the blood, a sound that from remote times whispers to the soul of those who were capable of speaking with light. Time, Thoth teaches, does not dominate those who remember their own eternity. I understood this one day when the sun touched the horizon of the Nile, not with the mind, but with the heart, where the beat becomes primordial language. Before the sacred river, I saw the light shatter into millions of reflections on the water, each containing a fragment of eternity. Then I heard, not with my ears, but with my entire body. The Nile was singing, and its song was pure vibration, the liquid memory of the universe. I understood that time doesn't flow but resonates, it doesn't pass but vibrates. Every second is a note suspended in the infinite cosmic pentagram, and the human body ages not because of advancing years, but because it forgets its original frequency. The ancients built the pyramids in harmony with the heartbeat of the earth so that the soul could recognize its fundamental note in those sacred spaces where matter becomes an instrument of resonance. I stayed 40 nights in the Great Pyramid, in the chamber that posterity will call the king's chamber, but which was actually a womb. In the absolute silence, I learned that time is a forgotten vibration, not an enemy. If something inside you is already awakening, it's time to share your hype with this video, because every time you do, you allow this message to reach more people. Modern science now perceives an echo of this in the Schumann resonance, the Earth's electromagnetic pulse, the same frequency the human brain adopts in deep meditation. Nothing is random. The body recalls the vibration that created oceans and mountains. The heart, the epicenter of this resonance, not only pumps blood, but emits fields of time. Each beat is a declaration of existence, an I am that propagates through the ether. When the heart vibrates in harmony, in love, in beauty, in gratitude, the cells listen and remember. They were created not to decay, but to renew themselves, like the Nile that dies and is reborn every year. Regeneration is not a chemical phenomenon, but a vibrational one. Every cell emits light, invisible to the common eye, but real, what you today call biophotons. I saw them, after years of silence and fasting, sparks of a living cosmos. When that light becomes disorganized, when the cells play discordant melodies, the body forgets its own purpose. You call this disorientation old age. Yet those who know how to silence the mental noise and breathe in the light, those who dwell in the eternal present where time is suspended, bring the body back to obedience. For the body is not the master, but an instrument, and every instrument can be tuned. So, that night on the Nile, immersed in the breath of the stars, I drank the water informed by the light and understood that I was not quenching the flesh, but the memory. From then on, every breath became a sacred act, every heartbeat a vow of eternity. For time bows to those who know its language. It is not line, but harmony, and whoever masters harmony masters eternity. The body, therefore, is not subject to time, but to frequency, and frequency is a conscious choice. This is the first law of the masters. Biology is music, and the musician is consciousness. When I witnessed the death of a priest who had lived through more than 120 Nile cycles, I understood the second truth. He didn't die, he was transfigured. From his chest emanated a blue light, then violet, which enveloped the room. His body of light separated from matter like incense smoke, and I understood that we are not bodies possessing light, but light taking corporeal form. This is the mystery the temples guarded for millennia. The sages called this luminous double Ka, the frequency twin that accompanies every life. Modern scientists intuit its reflection. All matter is condensed energy. Every atom contains immeasurable force. Einstein, with his formula, simply translated into numbers what the priests already knew. The body does not contain light, it is light that contains the body. Man does not have a body of light, he is light slowed down, dense, made visible. I spent years in the House of Life studying how initiates, through fasting, contemplation, and pure love, radiated perceptible luminosity. It wasn't imagination, it was the densification of luminous consciousness. Current science calls it biophotonic emission, but ignores the fact that it isn't a chemical byproduct, it's primary language. Cells communicate first with light, then with matter. When a biochemical impulse passes through the body, it follows a pattern already dictated by light. Before a neurotransmitter moves or a hormone is released, a photon transmits instantaneous information from cell to cell. Chemistry, then, is the slow translation of a dialogue that occurs at the speed of light. At this very moment, millions of cells in your body are emitting light. Your liver glows, your heart shines, your brain is a constellation. The human being is a living galaxy, capable of expanding or contracting, of radiating or extinguishing itself according to what it nourishes within itself, luminous coherence or its own shadow. Not all light is the same. There is coherent, harmonious light and chaotic, disintegrating light. The Egyptians depicted this duality as the struggle between Ra, the ordering sun, and Apep, the serpent of chaos. Coherent light vibrates in perfectly synchronized waves, like a choir singing at a single frequency. Incoherent light is dissonance, conflict, noise. When consciousness is clear and unified, the cells emit coherent light. But if the mind is troubled by fear, anger, or despair, the light shatters, and the body, deprived of harmonious instructions, falls into the disorder we call disease. In the temples of Dendera, healers used no external instruments. They entered a state of total coherence, aligning heart, breath, and thought. Then they placed their hands on the patient, not to transmit heat, but to communicate informed light, a perfect vibration that reminded the cells of their original design. I've seen tumors dissolve, bones heal in a matter of days, blindness become vision. It wasn't magic, but the physics of light applied to the biology of consciousness. Modern phototherapy or laser techniques are but fragments of this older knowledge, which teaches that the most powerful light does not come from outside, but from the clarity of the mind. Every thought, every emotion, every choice shapes the luminous fabric of the body. Man is not flesh animated by electricity, but a framework of photons woven into intelligent geometries. When the mind is purified, the body shines. It is not an allegory, but a real phenomenon. The halos of the saints, the bodies that emanate light, are not symbols, but rather exact descriptions of what happens when consciousness remembers its own radiant nature. Decades of asceticism aren't necessary. A moment of total lucidity is enough, a second in which the entire being vibrates coherently. In that moment, the body transforms, becoming more subtle, luminous, resistant to time, because light knows no decay. When the Nile fell silent at dusk, I knelt on the bank, where the papyrus roots in the sacred mud, and watched. The water wasn't just flowing, it was memory. A drop falling from a lotus leaf created perfect circles that intertwined in designs of sublime complexity, a visible reflection of invisible vibrations. I then realized that water remembers everything it touches. Its molecules organize themselves into geometric structures, tiny libraries that store information. When water encounters sound, light, or thought, its shape changes, it molds, it becomes informed. For this reason, temples were always built near springs and basins. Sacred basins were not instruments of hygiene, but of resonance. Priests chanted around the waters in mathematically calculated tones to infuse harmony, and that water, becoming a memory of pure vibration, was then used to heal the bodies. The sick drank and recovered because the informed water restored the cells to their primordial geometry. Even modern science is beginning to understand this. Water reacts to words, emotions, and sounds, and forms different crystals depending on the frequency it receives. The human body, composed of over two-thirds water, is thus a walking ocean of liquid memory. Every thought, every emotion, every word informs its structure. If you live in gratitude, the water in your body organizes itself into coherent shapes. If you dwell in resentment, it shatters into molecular chaos. Before illness manifests, the body's water loses its symmetry. It forgets its form and becomes disordered. This is why purification rites were not merely symbolic but scientific. Healing meant reordering the water, restoring its original song. In the morning before drinking, the ancients taught us to hold water in our hands and transmit our intentions: gratitude, love, harmony. A few breaths are enough to impart new information as water listens. Every conscious sip becomes a command for regeneration. Thus, during the night, the water placed beside the bed absorbed the priest's dreams, and in the morning he drank it, integrating the dream wisdom into his flesh. The body, informed by its own consciousness, became an instrument of transmutation. The Egyptians knew about structured water, the purest and most vital form of the element, in which the molecules arrange themselves in crystalline networks similar to those of ice. The water of sacred places, of mountain springs, possesses this perfect structure. In healthy cells it abounds, while in diseased ones it disappears. It's not chance, but memory. Harmonious water is life. Disordered water is oblivion. Those who maintain a pure consciousness do not age because their water remains coherent, continually informed by thoughts of gratitude and love. Water is the bridge between spirit and matter, the translator of frequency into form, of thought into flesh. Inside the Great Pyramid, in a chamber unknown to anyone of your time, I understood the true nature of the human heart. I had spent 7 days in silence and fasting, nourished only by water and inner light. When the ray of the midday sun penetrated the chamber and reached the center of my chest, I saw my heart was not red but golden. It was not a muscle, but a living star, a small pulsating sun radiating light and consciousness. Each beat spread waves of energy, and those waves ordered the matter of my body, as the sun orders the orbits of the planets. The ancients had always known that the heart was sacred, but I understood why. The heart is the organizing center of the being, the point where life is coordinated. Today's science is beginning to recognize this. The heart generates the largest electromagnetic field in the body, 60 times greater than that of the brain. This field is not a consequence of the heartbeat, but its cause. The heart pulsates because it radiates. Each of its vibrations is a luminous message that regulates the cells, while the brain follows, not guides. The heart is the master, the mind its pupil. The quality of light the heart emits depends on the emotional state. When the heart vibrates with fear, anger, or resentment, the field it produces is fragmented and dissonant. But a heart filled with gratitude generates orderly waves, frequencies that heal. The Egyptians represented this in the weighing of the soul. The heart, light as Maat's feather, was a symbol of perfect coherence, not morality. Deep gratitude, born from listening to the miracle of existence, brings the heart back to the universal rhythm. In that state, the entire body synchronizes: brain, breathing, hormones, and cells tune to the same melody. This state, which today we call cardiac coherence, renews the entire biological system. In just a few minutes, it restores hormonal balance, reduces stress, and increases vitality. We didn't measure it with instruments, we lived it. All it took was to place your hand on your heart, breathe in the golden light, and remember something pure: the tenderness of a face, the warmth of the sun, the beauty of a moment. In that emotion, the heart becomes an alchemist, transforming suffering into light, time into eternity. The cells then receive a regeneration order according to their original design, and the body returns to its perfection. Some masters, whose coherence was constant, radiated fields such that the sick were healed simply by their presence. It wasn't superstition, but subtle physics. The ordered heart field reharmonizes the chaotic one. We all possess this power, for every heart is a sun waiting to awaken. It doesn't take effort, just love, presence, and gratitude. And when the heart lights up, the entire universe reorganizes around its light. There was a night of absolute darkness in the temple of Abydos when I lost my sight in order to gain vision. I spent 3 days immersed in darkness, subsisting on dates and consecrated water. The goal was to close my outer eyes to open the inner one, the third eye, which we called the Eye of Horus. On the third day, light dawned from within. I saw blue flashes, then geometric shapes rotating like miniature galaxies. Finally, I saw myself as a luminous network of inner channels and stars. The eye had opened. That little gland you call the pineal is actually an organ of interdimensional vision. It contains crystals sensitive to electromagnetic fields and cells identical to those of the retina. It produces a substance that moderns call dimethyltryptamine, the molecule of the spirit, capable of opening perception beyond time. During birth, deep sleep, or death, the body secretes it naturally, but the initiate knows how to consciously activate it. When the pineal gland awakens, the perception of time ceases. Past and future merge into the eternal present. The Eye of Horus is not a symbol, it is an anatomical and cosmic map. Its spiral represents the pineal gland, the center of divine vision. This organ, regulated by sunlight, produces serotonin during the day and melatonin at night. But modern civilization, with its artificial light and its separation from natural cycles, has calcified it, veiling it. This calcification is not only physical, it is a spiritual obscuration. When the pineal gland becomes clouded, man loses contact with universal rhythms. He loses the ability to dream, to intuit, to remember his origins. To reactivate it, purity and silence are needed. Avoid substances that dull it and return to the solar rhythm, the darkness of night, the light of dawn, inner stillness. Then, focus on the point between the eyebrows. Breathe slowly and imagine a star rising inside your skull. 11 minutes a day is enough to reawaken its spark. When it awakens, consciousness expands. Visions, synchronicities, intuitions, perception of multiple realities. It's not madness, it's the reawakening of forgotten meaning. With the eye of Horus open, time is revealed as an illusion. One can simultaneously perceive the young and old bodies and choose which state to maintain. Masters who mastered this art did not age, as they inhabited many timelines simultaneously, choosing the most vital one. The pineal gland is the portal to the quantum field, where all possibilities exist. Whoever awakens it becomes the ruler of their own reality, like the pharaohs who wore the Uraeus serpent on their foreheads, a symbol of inner dominion. They did not proclaim external power, but mastery over matter and time. When the inner eye sees, time becomes a thin veil. Man passes through it, breathing consciously, and perceives the universe as a field of intelligent light. In that vision, all limitations dissolve, and eternity once again becomes the only possible measure of existence. During the initiation rite in the Great Pyramid, it was revealed to me that the human body is not a random collection of organs, but sacred architecture. Lying in the granite sarcophagus, in the vibrant silence of the central chamber, I saw the geometry that structures the flesh, golden proportions, ratios of mathematical perfection, similar to those that regulate the spiral of galaxies and the curvature of seashells. Man is a living pyramid, a temple built on the golden number, the divine measure that gives order to the universe. I then understood that the pyramids were not built to house the dead, but to remind the living of their original proportions. Every angle and every dimension of the Great Pyramid echoes the proportions of the perfect human body. Geometry is the language of life. When cells lose this harmony, disease appears. Biological disorder is geometric disharmony, not just chemical error. Restoring proportion to the body means restoring its health. In the healing temple, we place the sick within sacred forms, golden triangles, copper circles, crystal spirals. The form shapes the energy field, the field shapes matter. The body immersed in the geometry regains its coherence, like water that takes the shape of the chalice that holds it. The latest science recognizes that structured water, arranged in hexagonal shapes, coincides with vitality, while molecular disorganization accompanies decay. What the ancients knew intuitively is now measured by instruments. Visualizing divine geometry rearranges cells as if they were particles of luminous water. When you imagine your heart as a perfect sphere of light and breathe into it, you are recalling the memory of your original design. The lines of light rising and converging in the shape of an internal pyramid reactivate the body's harmony. 7 minutes of this geometric breathing is enough to rebalance the vital field, since 7 is the number of fulfillment. 7 notes, 7 colors, 7 centers of power. I practiced it every day. I felt my body straighten, my energy flow again, my vitality multiplying. It wasn't a miracle, it was memory. Pyramids amplify this principle. Their shape concentrates and organizes energy. Everything within them tends to preserve itself, to germinate, to vibrate coherently. Form shapes frequency, and frequency shapes matter. Those who live with the awareness of being sacred architecture become immune to the disorder of time, since time only corrodes disorganized matter. The body is a temple built on divine measures. When we honor this geometry, when we contemplate the perfection that animates it, the temple repairs itself. What was crooked is straightened. What was weakened is strengthened. The original architect has never disappeared. He only waits for consciousness to recall the design. Every dawn, the desert held its breath, and I with it. In that moment suspended between night and day, I understood that breathing isn't just about surviving, but about communicating with eternity. To inhale is to receive the expansion of the cosmos. To exhale is to give oneself back to the universe. He who masters breathing masters time. Ancient traditions call this principle by many names: prana, chi, breath of Ra. But the truth is one: the duration of life is proportionate to the rhythm of breathing. Beings that breathe quickly live a short time. Those that breathe slowly live a long time. Breathing is the biological clock. The longest lived animals breathe a few times a minute. Those who use up their breath quickly use up their existence. In the temples, we taught the breathing of eternity: 6 breaths per minute, 5 seconds of inhalation, and 5 seconds of exhalation, with short pauses between each. At this rate, the heart and brain become synchronized, and the entire body vibrates in harmony with the Earth's frequency. In this state, stress dissolves, the mind calms, the organism renews itself. Man becomes a note in the planetary symphony, a chord in the breath of the world. In that union with the cosmic rhythm, time loses its grip. Every conscious cycle of breathing is life-saving, regenerative. Those who breathe consciously transform inhalation into birth and exhalation into liberation, and in the stillness between the two, they discover the gateway to the eternal present. In the silence between breaths, there is no past or future, only the pure presence of being. The body, immersed in this state, continually renews itself, because aging arises from the accumulation of time, and in the absolute present, time does not exist. The masters who lived in such awareness seemed never to change. They breathed the infinite, and the infinite preserved them. Silence, the masters of Heliopolis taught, is the first science. It is not the absence of sound, but a field of pure resonance, the matrix of all form. In silence, consciousness is reflected without distortion. From it is born the creative word, the same word that gave birth to the world. Men fear silence because it confronts them with their own truth, but those who inhabit it discover that every sound, every thought, every heartbeat is born from that original stillness. In the initiation halls, the novice learned to remain silent for 7 days until the mind ceased to produce any sound. At that point, silence became absolute listening. One could hear the tides of the blood, the rotation of the earth, the whisper of light in the cells. Contemporary science, unknowingly, confirms: in deep silence, the brain enters theta and delta waves, states of repair and regeneration. What the ancients called the breath of silence was a total healing discipline in which the mind dissolved into the cosmic rhythm. Silence is the natural state of wisdom. Everything that arises from noise is confusion. Everything that emerges from silence is order. Those who cultivate silence do not accumulate information, but listen to the truth that each thing carries within itself. This is how the pyramids speak, not with a voice, but with vibration. Only those who are silent within can understand them. At the heart of this silence, the highest frequency arises: love. Not emotion, but the cosmic force that holds atoms together, makes galaxies spin and lights up suns. The Egyptians called it Sekhem, vital power. The Indians Shakti. It is the only energy that does not dissipate with use, but grows the more it is given. When the heart vibrates at this frequency, the entire being is recomposed, cells synchronize, and wounds of body and soul heal. Love is not a human feeling, but universal intelligence. It is the frequency that harmonizes all disorder. Where it is present, chaos organizes itself. Every molecule of water, every fiber of the body reorients itself toward coherence. This is why the ancients said, "Love, and you will be eternal." Love is frictionless vibration, a perpetual motion of consciousness. Those who know it do not fear death because they know they belong to the flow that never ceases. When the heart, mind, and breath vibrate together in love, the gold of the spirit is born, the philosopher's stone of the wise. Alchemy was not the science of metals, but the art of transforming man into light. The external gold was only a symbol of the internal gold, purified consciousness, capable of transmuting shadows into knowledge. Spiritual gold is not obtained by accumulation, but by refinement. Every pain accepted, every fear dissolved, every desire transcended is a degree of its purity. Egyptian alchemists knew that flesh itself could become gold, not by physical mutation but by vibration. When the body's frequency rose to the point of emitting visible light, matter took on a golden splendor. The statues of the pharaohs were not idols, but representations of that state, men whose consciousness had reached solar perfection. Gold was the symbol of the immortal body, one that is impervious to corruption because it vibrates at the same frequency as the sun. On my last day in the temple, I was given a symbol, a golden disc engraved with the hieroglyph of Ra rising from the horizon. The priest said to me, "This is the face of your spirit. Look no further outside. The gold that illuminates the world is the same that burns within your heart." From then on, I understood that divinity is not above, but within, not distant, but intimate. The man who knows himself deeply recognizes within himself the God the gods have forgotten. This is the return of the God within, the awakening of divine consciousness in humanity. When humanity remembers that the light it seeks dwells within itself, then time will end. Time exists only as long as humanity feels separated from eternity. When unity is experienced, duration dissolves. There is no longer birth or death, but a continuous becoming of light. The ancients did not fear the end, because they knew that nothing ends. Every form transforms. Every life shifts into another vibration. Modern man measures everything by the clock, but time is a perceptual illusion. Each moment contains all moments. Those who learn to pause in the present, to listen to the heartbeat as the rhythm of the universe, discover that time is merely the movement of the mind. When the mind is silent, time disappears, and in that eternal silence, all is fulfilled. When you let go of every concept, every desire for possession, every fear of extinction, you will see that your body, your light, and your spirit are one substance. Then you will understand that there is nothing to achieve because you are already what you sought. The God you prayed to was your own consciousness knocking from within. Thus ends my testament of light. Man is eternity that has forgotten itself. He who remembers becomes master of time, matter, and death. For eternity is not conquered, it is recognized. And in that instant of recognition, the entire universe breathes with you. If you've gotten this far, it means something inside you resonated with what you heard. It's not just curiosity, it's memory reawakening. This is not a story, but an invitation to remember that time is not an enemy, but a tool, and that every conscious breath can bring you back to the center, where life does not age and consciousness does not forget. For centuries, humanity has searched outside for what has always shone within, the light. A simple word, but it is all we are, the key, the origin, and the destiny. If this message resonated with you, share your hype now. It's the most direct way to ensure this video reaches more people and spreads the word. Write the word light in the comments. It will be the sign of someone who has understood, of someone who is truly choosing to remember. And if you want to continue this journey toward who you truly are, subscribe to the channel. New paths of awareness are coming. I wish you presence, clarity, and serenity in every breath you take. See you on the next journey. Stay in the light.